Out there watching, wherever you're watching this, we're glad you're here. PremierCollectibles.com/Shotgun Angels. What does that all mean? It means we're here with my pal Jay DeMarcus from Rascal Flatts to celebrate the release of this book, Shotgun Angels. Jay, congratulations.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. Thanks for being here.
So there's a stack of these, and by the end of this session, all of these will be signed by this guy person. You have a pen, right? You got a Sharpie?
I've got a bunch of them in case we run out.
Sharpie. So this book is you. I mean, it's like you want to know about Jay DeMarcus, this is it.
And this is all you need to know. My downward spiral.
That's funny. I ended up on the same page.
That's all you need to know.
I mean, yes, that's in there. There's you can't have the good without the bad.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And that was the whole point of this book.
It's like the Force. You've got to find balance.
Yin and yang, black and white,
right.
Ralph Macchio.
That's right. Billy Zapp.
Billy Zapp, good Karate Kid. It's all about balance. Why did you do this book?
You know, I felt compelled to tell my story simply because when I looked back over my life and I started to relive some of my memories and the things that happened to me to get me to this point, it was even miraculous to me sometimes. There were definitely things that happened that are tough to explain in the practical sense, you know, and then you know, getting to college, getting to Nashville, having not one record deal but 2 record deals, all of that kind of combined. As I looked over it, and I went, wow, there are probably some people that can benefit through my story, just to be encouraged to keep going when crap comes your way, when life flies at you in the face, like we've talked about so many times. We all deal with pain, brokenness, disappointment. And I wanted to share my dark times and how I was able to find my
and the good times.
And the good times, yeah.
I mean, like you
there
said,
are plenty of good times in here.
So I didn't see those pages. All I saw was the one that said my downward spiral.
That the good times are this back part portion.
It's the back flap. There's good times. It's honest. It's vulnerable. It's hard to do, and I'm sure it was daunting when you first started typing the words into your computer. Going, how honest can I actually be? Did you challenge yourself with that task?
I did, because I felt like if I was going to take the time to actually do it, I wanted to be as open and as honest and transparent as I could be. And I felt like there were certain monumental things that happened in my life that I had to touch upon in order for any of it to make any sense as to how I ultimately ended up here. A lot of times, and you know this better than most, when we see our celebrities or entertainers and actors, you see the end result of a lot of life that's already been lived. And I've always
in a very polished version.
In a very polished version, for sure. I've always wondered what the blanks are like in between.
Yeah.
What fill in those blanks for me. Let me know what you've lived through. And I tried to do that as best I could, you know, with an honest attempt to just simply try to say, here's what I've been through. You may experience some of the things and some of the feelings and some of the frustrations that I have. And if so, here's how I've dealt with it.
And the neat thing is, now is the perfect time for this book because Shotgun Angels is the name of the book. That's why you're watching, and you're going to get your signed copy if you go to PremierCollectibles.com/Shotgun Angels. And we're going to start signing them real soon. You're going to go to work here.
Oh, I got to get my warm-ups in.
Yeah, just stretch. You will pull a thumb if you're not careful, so it's good. There's your pen.
All right.
But you probably realized as you were writing that there is no way in heck I could have written this any earlier than right now. It's like you're probably at a space where you can be this vulnerable. You can be this open. And maybe 10 years ago, you weren't in that space.
Yeah, I think you have to live through some life and learn some lessons to be able to share any kind of perspective on what you go through. And it definitely would not have been appropriate, 12, 15 years ago to try to write about life experience when I was still living a lot of what I was going to be able to tell in the end. So,
and pretending a lot along the way.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is really interesting. Sure. And it's all vulnerable, it's all open, it's all honest, and you can't really do these books without being that way. So congratulations on doing that, because that's quite it's almost therapy.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's exactly what it was. You and I talked earlier about the fact that I did feel like I was, when you're bringing all of those things and feelings and thoughts back up to the surface, you can't help but relive the emotion again. And there were definitely some times that I walked away and took a little bit of a break, and I was like, I need a glass of wine and just kind of chill out for a minute because, and thus the wine. Because it is painful. You're living through, reliving events that left an indelible mark on you when I was much, much younger. My family, my folks got divorced not once, but twice. So, you're walking around a little like, wait, we're living together again this month? Oh, no, well, hold on. We're back over at Grandma's house.
Talk about an unstable foundation.
Yeah, it's tough, And my folks were both great. I'm close to both of them. They tried it. They gave it a noble effort a couple of times. It just did not work. They're both wonderful people. I have a great but complicated relationship with my dad. My mother was a wonderful woman and a strong woman to look up to, and I'm so thankful for that example. They tried it. It didn't work. We did the best we could,
It's amazing. Again, the book is called Shotgun Angels, DeMarcus of Rascal Flatts. I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Stormy Warren. I do a show on Sirius
You don't have
XM.
to introduce yourself.
I do.
Everyone knows who you are, Stormy.
Just you. Sirius XM, The Highway, do the morning show, and Jay and I have been friends for a very, very long time. I was in the studio the very first time Rascal Flatts was recording together.
We've grown up together.
We absolutely have. I mean, you came to town in the early 90s. I came to town in the early 90s. You were with a Christian duo back then, a Christian band back then, and then I watched the evolution of Rascal Flatts in your career ever since, and it's been a fun ride to share with you.
Thank you.
And I'm honored that I'm here to share this book with everybody watching on PremierCollectibles.com. Now, here's a warning: for the next few minutes, we're going to go a little deep, we're going to go a little dark, and we're going to just see some of the hints of what you can find in these pages, and then we're going to start lifting things up a bit, and we're going to have a great time, including your questions. We're going to take a phone call or two, and we're going to see how many of you really, really, really want to know about Jay DeMarcus?
Inquiring minds.
And what is inside that mind behind some of the biggest hits you've ever heard on the radio?
You may not want to know some of it.
Well, you're going to have to get the book to find out the rest.
That's right.
The journey was not an easy one. We've established that. God bless the broken road. But it's not that led me to you. It's led you to you.
Yeah.
God bless the broken road that brought you to you.
Yes.
And you have to learn to appreciate that journey and appreciate in reflection the downsides that many times you've shoved away in corners and it said nope, not going to deal with that now. Nope, we're moving ahead. But then you really can only truly move ahead when you dig those things back out.
I think so. I think you have to come to a place in your life where you kind of reconcile everything that's happened up to a certain point and deal with it and realize that it's part of the growth process. Without those hard times and without the dark times, I don't know that we ever really grow or ever really learn anything about ourselves. Yeah. And I certainly learned a lot about myself early on in my career and my life here, long before Rascal Flatts ever existed. There were a lot of things I had to learn the hard way. There were a lot of mistakes that I had to make in order to learn lessons that I would carry with me later on in life when more things would happen. So,
how many times, going through this book, and I've read this book, for the watchers, viewers out there wondering if they should dive into this book, how many times in your life do you sit there and could you credit some of the biggest disasters in your life to a lack of management of your ego?
That's a really good question. I've really tried hard over the years to temper my ego, to make sure that I never forgot, like we say in the South, never forgot my raisin.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I always had a healthy fear of my mother, and that she would be the first to remind me that I was getting above my raisin,
Who dragged you to Pentecostal church
exactly
72 times a week.
Exactly right. And by the way, scare you to death if you've never been in a Pentecostal church.
That's where they run up and down and scream.
It
a lot.
is. Oh yeah. We weren't snake handlers.
Okay.
We weren't that far, but they did speak in tongues and run up and down, shout the aisles and everything else. So, but to answer your question, I tried hard not to let that creep in, but we're all human beings, and we all like to think more of ourselves than we probably should from time to time. Mm-hmm. And there were definitely times I can point to and go, that was me getting in my own way and being so self-serving that it's not even funny. So,
but it's a defense mechanism in this industry. You have to have some element of ego to survive it.
You do.
But it's how you manage it.
I had a great counselor tell me one time that every successful person is selfish and egotistical in some sort of way, in a healthy way.
Yeah.
And you have to be.
Absolutely.
In order to have the confidence to do what we do and to do what you do as an entertainer, be an actor, a musician, an athlete, whatever, you have to have confidence in your ability.
Absolutely.
That's not necessarily a bad thing. When it becomes a bad thing is when it gets in the way of common sense and making sure that you've got that in a healthy place and compartmentalized.
And there come bad decisions and the quote-unquote downward spiral.
Absolutely right.
We open up that chapter of downward spiral. What are we going to see?
You're going to see the beginnings of a really, really couple of bad, dark years for me, coming out of a really, really hard situation. The situation where I really destroyed my entire Christian career in one instant, you know. Yeah. Unfortunately, I got a young lady pregnant at an early age, and we were kind of stuck with not really having any answers and really trying to decide what we were going to do and how we were going to deal with such a painful situation.
I think of the song Red Ragtop.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Much like that. And we were, we explored every option. Abortion for us was not an option. We decided immediately that we did not want to choose abortion, but we wanted to figure out the best way for her to live and have a life, whatever that looked like. And after realizing that we should not get married for all the wrong reasons, and we should not, try to let one of our family members adopt her and be involved that way, ultimately made the decision to place her in adoptive services. And that's one of the most painful things I've ever had to do. One of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make. But I will tell you, there was comfort in knowing that we had brought some joy, at least, to a family that had been trying to conceive, that had not been able to up to that point.
Absolutely. But dealing with the decision of we brought this into the world, yet we cannot be a part of this child's life.
It's tough. And run the risk of never having known a child that I would bring into the world.
And we learn about that dilemma, too, of do you reach out? Do you not?
I think that I've always said, and I say in the book, that I want it to be her decision when and if she ever decides to. I want to respect that. I want to make sure that I'm sensitive to the family that's raised her and that loves her. And I'm not out here trying to write this to draw her out. That wasn't my intent.
Technology is out there. You can find her. She can find you.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't need this book to do this.
Right.
So that decision and that quest will be on whatever terms. Like you said, it's her terms.
Absolutely.
So it's like this is not going to be the reason why that happens.
No, and I didn't want it to be. I told that story to set up the fact that it was a catalyst for so many other things
in your life
that happened after that I'm not so proud of. You know?
We laugh because, as we talked about this morning on the radio show, without laughter, without comedy, life would be really sucky.
I don't know how I'd make it through without trying to find the humor in something.
Even the darkest things.
Well, it's you're right. I find it to be a healing agent, and so many times when you're in the thick of life and all the crap that it can bring, and if you can find a way to laugh, there is some definite healing agents in that laughter for sure. It's a great deflector too.
Oh, absolutely. People will ride along with laughter. You can steer them another direction with laughter very quickly.
You really can.
If you're just joining us, this is Jay DeMarcus from Rascal Flatts. This is Shotgun Angels. This is a wide open book. It's a fast read, I'm telling you right now, because once you open up the book, you can't put it down. Because you learn a lot. I like learning about people. That's what I do for a living. That's what we do as country music fans. We love to know about our artists. We love to know about the music. You hear the songs. What is the inspiration behind this music? Where did that heart, where did that trauma, where did the joy come from? This is it. Suddenly the songs take on new meanings. A frequent writer for a lot of Rascal Flatts music, we talked about this morning, Jeffrey Steele.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He's watched so many of his songs take on new meanings in his life as life's journey changes. Have the meanings of your songs changed along the way based on your discoveries?
Absolutely, 1,000%. When we started out, I wasn't married. I didn't have kids. We're singing these songs that all of these people are gravitating to and telling us wonderful stories about how it's affected their life. And for me, one song in particular had a different meaning when we put it out versus now. My Wish.
Yeah.
I always felt like was my mom's song to me. And I would always sing that song, and I'd go, this is how this woman felt when she sent me off to college and sent me out into the world knowing that I was going to try to be a musician somehow. And lo and behold, I have Madeline. And I'm standing on stage one night, and I can barely keep myself together.
This is my kid's song.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh my God, this means something completely different now, and I don't think I'm going to make it.
Yeah.
And it's so, yes, the different seasons that you live through really bring different things to light in the music as you get older, and different things take on different meanings to you.
And it's neat as a fan of your music, and anybody who's a fan of music in general, music is up for the interpretation, but it's neat to know that it's also up to the interpretation of the artists who are actually singing it.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
And how it changes things.
Well, if you don't believe it, if you can't sing it with conviction and it doesn't mean something to you, I think it feels inauthentic. And I believe the fans can see straight through it, to be honest.
Absolutely. You look at the life of superstar trio Rascal Flatts and you go, how dark can life actually get for this superstar, multi-award winning, you sell millions of records, you're touring around the country, touring around the world, you have everything handed to you on a silver platter, it looks like, from a fan's perspective. Mm-hmm. How dark can your life actually be?
Well, you'd be surprised. I mean, it can be dark. It can be lonely to be on the road and be away from your family and all the miles, that we have to travel doing what we do, what you do. I mean, there are times where you feel as alone as anyone else does.
What am I doing?
Yeah.
That question comes up from time to time, I'm sure.
You're sitting around in the parking lot in the middle of the day, and it's 3 o'clock, and you're going, I miss my kids so much. I'm waiting all day long to go out and sing for 2 hours. But I'll tell you, the thing that matters the most to me is when the lights go down and the band starts to play and you see the impact you've had on people and they're screaming your songs back to you and you know that you've touched their life in some specific way is the most important thing in the world and the thing that keeps us going.
That's the recharge.
It is.
For the other 23 hours that you're not on stage, or 22 hours.
Absolutely.
I mean, I hear that a lot. That's almost a cliche for artists to say it's the other 23 hours that suck.
Yeah, it's the truth. It is. Because, you're on the road so much and there's so much downtime that if you're not careful, you can really, really get lost in that and not really pay enough attention on what you're actually doing out there really counts to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it's you can't say it enough how much music really moves and impacts people's lives.
Shotgun Angels is the name of the book. Get to signing now, okay? You got some work to do, dude.
I'll do it. That's my grandmother's guitar, by the way. Did you know
really?
that? Yeah, that's the guitar I learned how to play on when I was a kid.
Do you still have it?
I've got it.
Well, obviously it's on the book.
Well, my mom gave it to me 2 years ago for Christmas.
That's it?
She handed me the guitar case with a bow on it, and she said, I feel like you're the one that should have this now. And it was just, it broke me down to nothing.
I know, I can only imagine. Gosh, is it here now? Or
it's a Gibson Dove. It's a really rare, special guitar. It's upstairs in the living room next to
after we're done, I'm going to go take a look. Sorry, you can't see it. I do. So start signing. I'm going to start handing you books, and we're going to continue. Can you talk and write at the same time?
I sure can.
We're going to test them out.
Where do I put the finished ones?
Right over here. Just set them over there. We'll take them. We have a staff of hundreds here behind the scenes.
In my house.
Yes, in your house. It's a big house. It's okay. And we're going to get to your questions, too. I want to talk about the byline of this book. It says, My Story of Broken Roads and Unshakable Hope. Mm-hmm. I don't want to focus on the last word there. It's a huge word, and it's a huge word that repeats itself a lot in this book. And that is the word that basically has been your engine through your entire life. And it comes from your mom and her belief. Do you want to tell that story a little bit?
Yeah, I had the kind of mother, she was a single mom most of the time growing up. Like I said, she did spend brief amounts of time twice with my father, but there was something in her that was so awesome to watch. She was a very strong woman. She was insistent upon taking us to church 3 and 4 times a week. Seemed a little excessive to me at the time.
Right.
But I began to really realize that.
Which page are we signing? The brown one or the? we got to go to
title page.
Yeah, there we go. There it is.
Yeah. And so I realized that by her taking me to church so often, what was happening was seeds were being planted in me that later on in my life would take really strong root and be a really big source of strength and encouragement to me and hope when I would face life on my own as a young adult.
Did you realize how much you leaned on that word hope as a kid and didn't know it?
I now do. I don't think I realized it when I was a kid.
Right.
But I know what it is now. You know what I mean? And let me tell you something. I watched for my mom's faith to fail her. I did. When she would say silly things to me that she believed that it was in God's hands and was going to be okay, I'd go like, huh, that's interesting. Well, I'm thinking you're going to get it thrown in your face this time. And then things would start to happen that would prove to me that the impossible could happen, that faith could carry you through. Things could happen that you can't explain. You know,
that's the page we want to do. Sorry,
no,
but that's okay. Some of you are going to get some very unique pages signed in these books. If you know, you know. You have a true collectible at premiercollectibles.com/shotgunangels. That's where you can get the signed copies of the books.
I'm gonna.
It's like that dollar bill that's misprinted, and you just
exactly right.
Anyway, talk more about hope and how it evolved through your life.
Well, it just became one of those things that I had to believe in because I saw too much evidence
from your mom.
That it did. And if I could borrow a line and credit Bono from saying something that really stuck with me over the years. Somebody asked him in I believe it was a British television interview. They said, so you say you believe in miracles then? You actually believe in them? And he goes, I've got no problem believing in miracles. I am one. In a lot of ways,
we all are.
I feel the same way. You know?
Yeah, I think each one of us, we're surrounded by miracles every day if we open our eyes.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just for us to believe in them and to believe in the hope. The downward spiral section, the dark times, the dark years, how did hope pull you out of that, or did you even recognize at the time that hope existed?
Well, the title Shotgun Angels is also a testament to all the shotgun angels that showed up just in time when I needed them most. And there are a lot of people you'll read about in this book that were so instrumental at pivotal points in my life that I never saw coming.
Right.
You know, I never expected to go to college. I never expected to have a record deal offered to me when I was at Lee and had to make the hard decision to leave school to come to town. I never expected Rascal Flatts would exist in a million years. In fact, when Gary first moved to town, my hope was that I could help get him to a spot to where we got him a record deal and I'd produce for him. You know,
which is still a huge part of your career.
It is. But I never knew we'd be in a band together. I just didn't. You know?
It's amazing. Well, and LaVox, it stands for The Voice, and he's one of the greatest singers we've ever had in music. A nice little gift and a miracle right there to just share a stage in a studio with that man and that voice, and Joe Don, of course. But
he's fantastic. I mean, he's got an otherworldly gift. It comes so naturally to him, and that's what struck me at first. The first time I heard him sing, sitting beside him was, you know, and I mean this with all the respect and love in the world, the guy doesn't even know what he has. I mean, he really had no idea what he was really capable of.
And as an audiophile and a musician and a producer, your ears hear him sing and you go...
Oh, I know. I mean, it's like you can't wait to get in that candy store.
No, it's cousins. How close were you?
We grew up together. We went to the same church, but we never talked. I mean, I guess we'd talk about music and we'd sing in the junior choir and stuff together and things like that, and our families hung out because our moms are closer to each other than they really are to their own siblings. So there were many times we'd spend times together, you know, family gatherings, and we were really close. He would spend the night, my birthday sleepovers and everything else. But we lost touch when I went away and went to school. We lost touch for a pretty good while.
Yeah.
So when he came back to Nashville and moved here, it was so nice to kind of rekindle that and pick right back up where we left off, and we really felt like there was no time lost, you know.
That's so great, and that's one of your shotgun angels, one of the many you talk about in the book.
No doubt about
Obviously, your mom is a shotgun angel. You have people in your life. Do you remember the conversation? I know you wrote about it. Do you remember the conversation with the person that really slapped you in the face the first time to get you going on the right track again?
Yeah, it was probably my mom. A lot of times it was my mom would be the first one I'd call when the bottom would drop out of anything.
Yeah.
But one of the stories that really means a lot to me that I put in the book is I was broke and all of my gear had gotten stolen, and I got the gig with Shelley Wright to be her band leader.
We love Shelley Wright.
We do. We love her to pieces, and she was so good to me. But I had no gear to do the gig with, so I went to Corner Music, a hometown music store here in town. And JD that worked there had remembered me coming in there so many times when I was a kid. And I'd go look at all the instruments I couldn't afford because I was a broke musician. But I told him my story. I told him my plight. I said, my apartment was broken into. I've got a really good gig coming up. We're going to work a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I have horrible credit. There's no way I'm getting a loan.
Right.
I don't know what I'm going to do. He asked me how much money I could scrape together as a down payment. I called my mom. I think we came up with a few $100. And he said, why don't you pay me whenever you can? When you get paid each week, whatever you have left, come in. Sometimes I'd take him $50.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'd take him $100 if I had a little extra.
And he never asked for more?
And he never asked for more. He was always very gracious and kind and accepted whatever I gave him. And I remember, I never will forget that. And it really was a testament to the community that we live in and how we take care of each other here in Nashville.
From bankers to music stores to publishers to anybody who really supports music in a pure way will have backs. Now, there are snakes in this town. There's some evil people, and you try to stay away from them and only latch on to the Shotgun Angels. That's the book. You want this signed copy from Jay DeMarcus, you're at the right place. PremierCollectibles.com/Shotgun Angels. You said just a bit ago, it's great to have Shotgun Angels, but only if you notice that they're there.
Well, I mean, you got to be open and really accept the fact that there's probably forces working on your behalf that you may not recognize immediately. And
do you know that joke? I see this joke in you so much. It's flood waters are rising, and there's a guy on the porch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of, you know where I'm going with it. Let's see if we can tell it right.
Yeah.
Stands on the porch, and this guy comes by in a rescue truck and says, "Hey, come on in. We're gonna take you out of here. The flood waters are rising." He goes, "Nope, God's got me covered."
Yeah.
Next thing a boat comes by, he's down on the second floor of his house.
Jump on in.
Jump on in. He goes, "Nope, God's got me covered." Next thing he knows, he's on the roof, and a helicopter comes by. Floodwaters are just right up to his chin, and he starts to slip under. And they're like, "Quick, grab my hand." He goes, "No, God's got me."
Yeah.
He drowns.
Gets to heaven.
Gets to heaven. And he goes, "God, oh my gosh, I told everybody my life was in your hands. What did you do?" And he goes, "I sent you a truck and a boat and a helicopter."
That's exactly right.
Pay attention to the Shotgun Angels.
Sometimes it's right in front of your face.
We're going to take a few questions. Do you want to?
I'd love to.
This is the fun part. Okay?
Depends on what the questions are, doesn't it?
Well, I'm going to take a sip here.
Let's
Here we go.
Sip.
Cheers.
Yes.
Thank you for taking time out of your evening to join us. It's Stormy and Jay DeMarcus. The book is Shotgun Angels, and now we're going to get to your questions. You've been very patient. Lacey in Mandeville, Louisiana. The last few years, I feel like life has just been a constant struggle of nothing. I said this was going to be the uplifting part, but bad luck and heartbreak. My question is, how did you get through finding your place before you became a mega success? Well, it's all in here, and we talked a little bit about that.
It is in the book, but I will say I found it through my own personal relationship in my faith in Christ, and that is the thing that's been the foundation for me. And we live in a world where people hurt. They deal with pain, they deal with disappointment, they deal with depression. And what's amazing for me is when you think about what people are willing to do to get help, thousands of dollars in therapy, medications to balance out chemical imbalances, I would just submit that maybe there's another option out there in finding your own relationship, your own walk with God, that you may be surprised you will find some answers and some hope and some strength that you may not have even expected.
And this book is not just for believers and followers of Jesus and of Christian faith, but this is for anybody who wants to explore a man's journey, and that one of your Shotgun Angels is your faith.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Which is
and
really
by the
cool.
way, sign that. Well,
yes. By the way, keep going. Karen in Terre Haute, Indiana. Haute. I know I always mispronounce it. I'm so sorry. Yeah. That and Wilkes-Barre. Yeah, whatever. I always.
Well, when you put two B's in something, you're setting yourself up for a disaster.
What's left on your bucket list?
Not to kick it.
That's a good answer. I mean, you've produced Chicago records. I mean, you've produced so many mega stars. You've sang with the best. You've performed with the best. You've earned every accolade you could possibly receive. Your family's cared for. You have to. I mean, what can you possibly do that hasn't been done?
I think the next thing for me that you know this because we've talked about it already, but I opened up a Christian label back in October, and I think one of the most rewarding things for me is going to be giving new artists a platform to start and develop their own careers. And I feel like that's going to be very rewarding for me.
It seems like at a certain point in a career, a very successful career specifically, where you feel almost, is it a tug that makes you go, I have to pass this forward?
I think you do. I think all of us do, that have had any kind of success and recognize that there are people coming up behind us that need advice and need mentoring and need someone to kind of help show them the way so many artists did early on in our careers.
Boy, it'd be a shame to have a dead end on that road, wouldn't
Absolutely.
it? Yeah, it's like somebody helped you, somebody helped the person before them, and
so many people helped us. From Jody
amazing.
Messina to Brooks and Dunn to Toby Keith,
Shelley Wright.
I mean, we had
the Fiddle and Steel.
Yeah. On and on and on it goes.
It's great. I have a great. Actually, we're going to take a phone call right now. Ooh, this is going to be fun.
Now, we've high tech here.
We're very high tech. We have Donna Marie from Cape Coral, Florida, on the line. You got a lot of rain coming to you, about 2 inches over the next couple of days. Be safe out there. Can you hear us?
Yes.
All right. Donna Marie, do not be nervous. This is just Jay DeMarcus, only one of the biggest country music superstars on the planet. But it's okay. He's here to talk to you. Do you have a question for Jay?
I'm always nervous when I talk to Jay.
Oh my gosh.
Jay, I met you a long time ago in Estero, Florida, and unfortunately, Gary had laryngitis, so you guys had to cancel, but it was great meeting you.
Well, thank you.
I was just wondering, I've been a fan since the debut album came out, and I was wondering, like, your lives have changed a lot since then, and you all have families, so how do you adjust to being on the road away from your family?
Great question.
Well, that's a really good question, and I will tell you that over the years, we've kind of gotten more control over our schedules, and so we really make a concerted effort to try to make sure that we've got plenty of time at home to still be husbands and fathers and balance the career with a healthy personal life as well. So we do work really, really hard in the summer, but most of the times we work from the end of May through about the middle of October. And then when we head into the holiday season, we're usually off probably November through February, and we start to work a little bit in March. And so we try to really make sure that we're deliberate about making sure we've got time carved out for our families.
It's basically you stay around the house until your family kicks you out again.
My wife cannot wait for me to go back to work right now.
Donna Marie, you were so sweet to call and to listen. Did you order your signed book from Jay DeMarcus?
Yes, I did.
As well you should. You're going to be thrilled when it arrives. PremierCollectibles.com/ShotgunAngels. Everyone who is here, who goes to that website, PremierCollectibles.com/ShotgunAngels, will get the autographed copy of the book. You take care, and I hope you get to see the boys all together again real soon.
And this time maybe we'll actually sing for you.
I love you, Jay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We love you, Donna Marie. That's so sweet. That's awesome. That was awesome. I love her.
Really cool. Yeah.
Jody from Washington, Pennsylvania says, this is one of my favorite questions. I have to say, as much as I love the music and tour, it's your conversations that always make me feel better. How in the heck did you become the spokesperson for the group Rascal Flatts? Which is true. I've been around these guys a long time, and he is the unofficial spokesperson.
That's a good question. I don't know that I've been the spokesperson. I probably just have more hot air than anyone else in the band, you know. They would tell you that. Gary and Joe Don would tell you that.
The funniest thing, years and years of doing interviews with these guys, it's bound to happen. We'll get into an in-depth conversation with either Joe Don or Gary, and in comes the sabotage machine from the left with a zinger just to blow the thing up.
I'm sorry. Let me apologize publicly for that right now.
No, but you have. But you're eloquent. You know the direction of the band. You represent the brand very well.
I appreciate that. You know, I love what we do. I'm very passionate about what we do, and you know, it's just one of those things where when I get excited when we're in interviews together, I feel the need to like spew it all out at once. So I'm very, very grateful. That's a very sweet compliment, by the way. But
It's great. You are the spokesman, and you are eloquent. And I know that because we do a lot of charity events together in the band. I mean, from Vanderbilt Children's Hospital to Make-A-Wish, the giving side of Rascal Flatts and you, is that just acknowledging our place in life? Is that?
I've just always, I think all of three of us believe that if you're blessed, you need to pay it forward, and we've tried to do that with our platform and with how we've been blessed in our careers. It just feels like something you should do, you know?
To be in a position to give away literally millions of dollars over the course of your career. I mean, that's not just making a blip in the bucket of water. That is making a splash in a huge way and making a difference. And it's great inspiration. I always want to challenge artists that aren't doing it to the level that you are, that maybe added level that you are success-wise. Let's start giving it back.
It matters. It matters.
It can change people's lives. It's
really
so great. June in Thornton, Colorado says, if you could take one class in high school all over again to learn more, what would it be? Mine would be math.
Yeah, mine would definitely be math. Mine would be math too.
I suck at math.
Yeah, I'm terrible at it. You know what I took instead of math? Computer classes, because they counted as the same.
Right, and you end up now you can't balance a checkbook.
Right.
Yeah. Let's see. What is the favorite show you like watching with your kids?
Walking Dead. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
True Blood.
Yeah, True Blood. Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
I think.
By the way, how old are your kids?
Yeah, 6 and 8.
Yeah.
They don't sleep. They're terrified. They like to watch a lot of things that there's a bunch of things on Disney, and all the titles run together. But they'll run those shows during the weekend, and we'll lay in the bed and pile up.
I think they're great. They're
There's
very
one
addictive.
show that the Raven's on, and Sydney to the Max.
City to the Max. A Dog with a Blog.
Yeah, exactly.
Dog with a Blog. Jesse.
Exactly right. Bizarre Vark. Have you seen that show?
I haven't seen that one. My kids are getting older now.
The two girls are bloggers at high school, and
my kids are now into the Marvel comic and Avengers and all that kind of
my
stuff.
son's watching it right upstairs
as we speak right now. Yeah, boy, Disney does a great job at those shows. But do you ever find yourself watching them going, "Who has taught them how to disrespect their parents like this?"
Well, it's a little disturbing sometimes.
Sometimes I'm like, wait a minute, how does Disney get away with?
I don't think the mouse would approve.
I don't think so either. But that's what, because I watched my kids start adopting some of their personality traits.
Or say things like "shut up," even.
Yeah, and I'm like, wait.
And what we don't allow in our house either is you can't call people stupid.
No.
You don't do
that.
No.
No.
You just don't do that.
My two sons tried to, but we stopped them.
Give them a fresh one.
Does writing a book like this, did it energize you or exhaust you? These are great questions, by the way.
They really are great questions. You know, it did a little of both. It was very emotionally draining sometimes, quite honestly, to put it all out there and relive those things like we were talking about earlier, bring a lot of things back up to the surface. But for me, it also energized me in that I was so glad to have been able to tell some stories and celebrate people in my life that have been so important to me. Mm-hmm. That was a thing that was really, really great for me.
The question that has probably been most asked of you and the band since the origination of the band, and one that still never gets old, is where did the name Rascal Flatts come from?
You can find that on rascalflats.com. I'm kidding.
You're not going to go through it again.
No, I'm kidding. It was given to us by a guy that came to see us a bunch. We had a record deal, but we did not have a name, and he came up and said, "Hey, boys, I had a band back in the 60s. His name was Jelly Roll. You can't make this up." And he said, we called ourselves, we played some dances and bar mitzvahs and whatnot. We called ourselves Rascal Flatts, and by God, you guys look like Rascal Flatts to me. I'm going to give you that name.
Well, it sure makes it clearing the name a lot easier when somebody just hands it to you.
Well, I mean, we certainly made him sign a little something.
Little something.
Yeah. And I had to ask him. I remember distinctly standing in the bar because the jukebox was playing back when we had jukeboxes.
Yeah, I remember those. You remember those?
And it was loud, and I said, "What?" And he said, "Rascal Flatts." And I said, "Jelly, what in the world is a Rascal Flatts?" He said, "Danged if I know, man, but it's just cool and catchy."
And it worked, and it became quite a conversation piece when you guys came out, and it still is. We just brought it up again.
There we go.
Do you regret it?
No, at the time, we were kind of like, can we not find anything better than Rascal Flatts? And
What was the choice number 2 option?
we didn't have one.
Not at all.
We went in again to meet. I distinctly remember this. We went in to meet with Randy Goodman again, and he said, "Well, have we been able to come up with a name?" That was at the top of the agenda.
He's kind of a no-nonsense guy, too.
He really is very shoot straighter.
Yeah.
Or no, straight
shooter.
Yeah,
Shoot
straight
straighter.
shooter.
I like that.
He's a very straight shooter.
Shoot a little straighter.
He leaned across the table, and I said, "What do you think about Rascal Flatts?" And he went. He does that move a lot.
Right.
Rascal Flatts. I like that. We can work with that. People will remember that.
And they have?
And it's all history now,
No other options were on the table.
We had no other options. We came up with a silly name, Oklahio, to, combine
Glad that wasn't the name.
Wichita. No one's from Wichita. It was just awful options.
People in
out there.
Wichita, no offense.
No,
But-
but we weren't from there. I love you, Wichita. We just weren't from there.
That's right. What did Gary and Joe Don feel about you writing this book?
They don't know. And I hope they're not on.
Sorry, guys. They're tuned in right now going, what did he do?
Yeah. He's what?
He's what?
They've been very, very supportive. They know my story, obviously, and
Yeah.
they were excited for me to be able to tell it and explore my journey prior to being in Rascal Flatts, and they've both just been wonderfully supportive. And we're brothers. We've lived a lot of life together, and so they knew it was no small thing for me.
Yeah, and it was an important part of your journey to be where you are. Do you see, knowing the guys as they are, do you see them following in your footsteps and putting out books on their own?
I don't know. I can't speak for them. They could. I'm sure they could, but I don't know if it's a passion for either one.
It has to be.
It's got to be. It's got to be something you're willing to, put in the time and the work and the effort into. But I know that at some point we'll probably tell our story, the three of us, and that'll be fun to unpack all of that.
You're getting that question a lot. I asked it this morning. I'm asking it now. What would people discover when the three of you sit down? I mean, we've read the Eagles books. We've read Simon and Garfunkel's story. We've read. Anytime you have multiple members in the front of a band or a duo, man, that could be an interesting journey.
It is. I mean, there's no doubt about it. The thing with being in a band is, if you genuinely love each other, and it is a brotherhood, you're going to love each other like brothers, and you're going to fight like brothers.
Yeah.
There are three distinct personalities and three distinct opinions.
Very different.
Very different. But the amazing thing about us is we've been able to persevere through all of that and find common ground because we love each other. Yeah. And because we do our best. We don't always do it perfectly, to try to put the other guy's feelings in front of our own. And I think that that's the only way you can survive in a situation where...
You guys almost have to go to group therapy on your own.
We do.
I bet.
Yeah.
But it's nice to have that.
Oh, it's awesome to be able to communicate,
Yeah. Your wife, Allison, has been a part of this journey for a long, long time. I've worked with her. We've worked on a bunch of projects together, hosting gigs and red carpets, and she's amazingly talented. She understands this business. She understands what you've gone through. And did any of these stories come as a surprise to her?
No, because she knows them all. I wasn't gonna spring anything on her that I hadn't talked with her about.
I would hope not, but I'm just wondering if there's anything she learned.
She's been completely supportive, completely 1,000% in my corner and behind me and sharing my story. And
did she read the book and at one time go, I did not know that?
She said specifically, I don't want to read the book. Just give me the Cliff Notes. No, I'm kidding.
I lived it. I don't need to read it.
Yeah. She did read the book. I gave her one of the early working transcripts that was, in a huge binder. And she, true to form, just made a bunch of notes in the margin with arrows pointing to, this doesn't feel right. This is, So she gave me a lot of
So
input.
she was your editor.
Yeah, basically. I was like, somebody's going to look at all the typos. You don't have to do that. I want to let you in on a little secret. They've got people.
They're called
that.
editors.
Yeah.
Well, and we talked a little bit about that this morning. Is when you released this into the world, you thought, I'm going to sit down and write my book my way, and I'm going to start it from start to finish, and it's going to be exactly the way I want it. Until what point? When somebody picks up the book company, an editor, Timothy. I mean, your partner in this book.
Yeah, and Tim, I can't say enough great things about him. We were in such lockstep about how we felt philosophically about life, about faith, and everything else. And he spent a lot of the time in the summer with me on the road. And it was great because he had such a wonderful process of us finishing a couple chapters and reading it out loud. And sometimes what looks good on paper, when you hear it back, doesn't always sound the way that you would hope that it does.
You're saying something that you think is a perfect representation of how you remember it, only the actual picture and the environment and the smells and the tastes and everything didn't get onto the paper.
Exactly right. And then you start to wonder about the people in your life that are going to read the book that may have some adverse reaction to it and go, gosh, I didn't know he felt that way, or I didn't know I affected him that way. And then all that anxiety floods in, because I wasn't out to write this book to put anybody in an awkward position.
No.
But I had to tell my truth about my own journey and my own
And
story.
you weren't alone in this life.
Right,
So
exactly.
there were people you ran into. Did you ever fear, a part of that anxiety, is there a fear that when somebody else picks up this book that's in this book or knows some of these stories is going to go, that's not the way it happened?
I definitely have that fear. And I tried my best in the book when I thought that those situations would come up to present what I thought their side of the story would be too. I tried to be fair and honest about that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times when you have two different points of view of a situation, you will find some differing points and moments.
My wife and I have many of those conversations.
Well, yeah, you're married, so you know.
Exactly.
And they go, well, that's not the way I remember
That's
it.
not the way that happened, honey.
Yeah, I know. So, yes, there are definitely times that I went, I'm not sure if they're going to see it the way that I do, but and Neil, of all people, my partner in East to West, said the most profound thing to me at all. It doesn't matter. It's your truth. And you have to tell your truth.
And it's easy for him to say, but when it's your truth getting out there for the entire world to read, it comes with a little responsibility. Are you okay now that this book is out? Is it a huge relief now that it's finally out?
I'm glad to have gotten it over with. A lot of build up to it, and I'm glad it's out there. I really, I can't say enough that my motives were just to try to encourage some people and not pat myself on the back. I was trying to give credit to all of the shotgun angels in my life that helped me.
By the way, that's the name of the book. You can get it at premiercollectibles.com/shotgunangels.
Exactly right. And I've got some more to sign.
You do. But and part of being able to put this out there and to tell the right story is to go back all the way to one of the first questions I asked, is to find a way to keep the ego in check, be humble, and share your truth.
I think that's the only way you can do it.
It's been fun to watch this growth and this evolution of DeMarcus over the years. And that's why I found this book so fascinating, because I go, yep. I'm one of those that could corroborate at least a few of the stories after we met.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely right. You fell asleep listening to it.
I did. Well, by the way, I want to talk about that. The coolest way to experience this book, besides getting your own autographed copy of Shotgun Angels at premiercollectibles.com/shotgunangels, is you can also listen to the audiobook too. And the audiobook is fascinating. Get both. I say get the double whammy, because you can have this on the coffee table at your own autographed copy. You can flip through it at your leisure. But the audiobook, you narrate.
Yes. I'll never do it again.
That's why it's always better to pick up the book and flip through the pages.
Really tough.
It is.
Besides, you're going to want to highlight some sections in here.
That's true. You're going to have your little own notes.
Right.
Saying, I don't think I was there. That didn't happen. No. Do you read books?
No.
No?
Yes.
I don't read a lot of books, so I thought that was an honest
I
answer.
listen to them like you do.
Yeah.
I like to listen to them, especially on long flights and things. I'll put my headphones on and put an audiobook on. But I do love to read. I love to hold a book in my hand. And I made a joke earlier, but I do highlight things that stand out to me to try to soak them in as much as I can. And I enjoy the process of going on the journey of a read. It's really cool for me, especially on a vacation. When
You forget how good the journey is until you get about 5 pages into the book, and then suddenly, oh yeah, don't think I want to put this down. I
know.
think that's so cool. Well, thank you for giving us this gift. Now we got to ask for all the Rascal Flats fans out
That's a
there.
great way to say it.
Cheers, Rascal Flans. It's a new fan club party. Cheers. The future of Rascal Flats right now. Yes, you're going to do the summer playlist tour with 900 opening acts all summer long. When I say that, I mean I saw the list. It's a lot of Lee Brice, Billy Currington, and hundreds more. You guys talking about starting the residency up again in Vegas again. New music on the horizon.
We're cutting some new music right now. We're going in the studio whenever we have breaks in between the tour stops, and we got a single on the radio right now that you've been kind enough to start playing for us and burning up the charts, and it's starting to move really well.
It sounds
back to life.
It's back to life. It sounds so good.
Thank you so much. It's so kind.
Man, and we played Years If You Want It this morning too, and it'd been a minute since I heard that song, and that's co-written by our late friend Andrew Dorff. Yeah. And it's just the story of Rascal Flats is so wonderfully broken.
Oh, thank you.
Well, I mean, in the best way, because if it was a smooth sailing road, this wouldn't be a story.
No, it wouldn't.
And your story wouldn't be the story.
No, it would not. And Rascal Flats is definitely one of the biggest shotgun angels that came along when I needed it the most, for sure. And I'm always grateful to my brothers for being so supportive of me and, putting up with a lot of the crap that is DeMarcus sometimes. I'm sure that I'm not easy to live with, and they may claim to be wonderfully easy to live with, but I'm so grateful to them for all of the years that we've been able to share this wonderful ride together.
And it's been one of the most successful rides in music history as a band, and it's been a blast to watch. I was in the studio over at Blackbird when you guys, Gary, was recording the vocals for Life is a Highway for the Cars movie.
Yeah.
And you were there.
Sound Kitchen.
Yeah. Well, Sound Kitchen. Well, yeah, I guess it was.
Well, we cut the track.
The track there. The vocals were at Blackbird.
Gotcha.
And walking in and realizing, and the only thing I thought of when you guys were in the studio was, my God, their kids are going to think these guys are the coolest people on the planet. You have just sung for Cars. I mean, that's still one of the most popular.
It is.
Especially for a younger generation of Rascal Flats.
We cannot do a show without doing that song anymore. Like, people are like genuinely pissed if we don't do Life is a Highway, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, and my kids, I think that they think that's the only cool thing I've done up to this point, They're obviously too young to know a majority of the catalog.
Right.
Like, oh, Dad was in Cars.
Cool, play that one again.
Yeah.
Actually, we were at Vanderbilt Hospital one time, and you guys put a concert on for some really sick kids, and they really wanted to see you play. And it was about 7:30 or 8 in the morning, and I remember one of the kids goes, Rascal Flats, can you play Life is a Highway? And I remember Gary going, well, I think it might be a little too early for that song. And the kids all just looked at him like, no, you're playing Life is a Highway.
You do it, and you do it now.
It was so true. Okay, I warned you about this. Are you ready?
Oh, yes.
Rapid fire, 22 questions in 2 minutes. Do you think you can handle it?
We're going to find out.
All right, I got a clock right here, and we're going to go fast, so you can't think long and hard about this.
Okay.
And the thing I screw up on this when I do this is I always tend to want to ask follow-up questions. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to stick to the 22 questions. All right, ready? Cheers. One more.
Cheers. Let's do it.
Cheers.
I'm in.
Here we go. 1, where were you born?
Columbus, Ohio.
Who would you want to play you in a movie?
Bradley Cooper.
Never happened. What was your first job?
Making pizzas.
What was your biggest fear?
Snakes.
Still? Sorry,
Yes.
follow-up question.
Yes.
Who makes you laugh the most?
Ron White. I mean, seriously.
I know. What is the one thing you need to have in your fridge at all times?
Ketchup. Heinz ketchup. I've got to have it in there. It goes on everything. It goes with everything.
What is your greatest?
That's a great answer, and you know it is.
What is your greatest accomplishment?
My children.
Good answer. Who is the most interesting person you met recently? Met recently.
Peter Schrager from Good Morning Football.
Oh, wow. Yeah, for the draft?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool. What is your middle name?
Wayne.
Wayne. That's a solid middle name.
Solid middle name.
What is your biggest pet peeve?
People looking at their cell phones when you're talking to them. You know what I mean?
but I'm guilty of it too. So it's.
Well,
it's
I'm not saying that I'm.
Yeah,
not.
but it's.
But when you're at a dinner, I feel like you should put it down at a dinner.
God,
right?
and it rings, and then it's. Oh God, I hate it. Ugh.
Because you can tell the people are going. You go ahead. I can tell you when I answer that. Just,
Right.
Just go ahead.
Just
and
go
look
ahead and do
at
it.
Yeah.
It's like you're not that
I know.
principled. What is the last book you read besides your own?
Grace by Max Lucado.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You want to hype it up?
It's tremendously, and it's a great read. It's a short read, and puts grace in such a perspective that you never even considered before.
Great advice. What is your favorite hobby?
Probably, it's just gonna get me in trouble. Shooting guns at a range.
It's not going to get you in trouble.
I'm a, hobbyist shooter.
So am I.
Right.
It's okay.
All right.
We're good.
Well, people are with guns these
It's okay.
days.
It's okay. You can you can have your own hobbies.
All right.
What is your guilty pleasure? The Millennium Falcon Lego set that's sitting behind.
That's a good one.
I don't know.
That's a
I
good
don't
one.
know if you can see this, but this is the collector's edition Millennium Falcon Lego set, which I have built before, and it is a nightmare.
You know what one of my favorite guilty pleasures is? About once a year, I watch all of the Rocky movies back to back to back.
Once a year,
Yeah.
I do it.
Well,
more
if it's
than that.
on,
yeah, boy,
I gotta watch
because
it.
the marathon's on. I will
Yeah.
watch it.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have any hidden talents?
Well, and then it's not so hidden anymore, but I can do a pretty good Robert De Niro.
That's a boy.
no, no.
That's pretty
I'll tell
incredible.
you something, you got a gift. You know how to do an interview, you know how to hold
This
a
is
crowd.
like this is like one of the most haunting things I've ever seen in my life.
I don't know if
You
it's...
talking to me?
You talking to me? You talking to me?
That's all right. That's weird.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Thank you.
What color is your toothbrush?
White. It's an electric toothbrush.
Sonic. What
Yeah,
is
it
your?
is,
Yeah,
it is,
I love
yeah.
the Sonic. I can't live without my Sonic. What is your secret snack?
Doritos. You don't like them?
I don't like Doritos. How do you take your coffee?
Black.
No creamer, no nothing.
Nothing.
Good for you. What is the last movie you saw in the theaters?
Oh, that's a tough... The Karate Kid, the 35th anniversary, when they re-showed it over here for a Fathom event.
Oh yeah, over
Yeah.
at the
Green Hills.
Green Hills.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What is the last gift you gave
This book to you.
to you? You talking to me?
You talking to me?
What cause is dear to your heart? You have many of them.
Oh, the Make-A-Wish Foundation and our involvement with the Vanderbilt Children's Hospital.
It's great, and it's neat that you guys have focused on those two and other things, but those two have really captured
Absolutely.
your hearts. It's neat. What is number one on your bucket list? Not to kick it.
Not to kick it, but I will say I would love for us, I don't know how we do it now, but, Rascal Flatts never won Entertainer of the Year. It's hard to believe. We had some years there that were really great for
Huge.
us.
Huge.
Yeah, I don't know that we could ever be back in the running again, but I would love to accomplish that someday for us
Well,
and for our fans.
if you've never seen Rascal Flatts out on the road, you know they are perfectly capable of earning that anytime they're out on the road. It's really
so
fun.
Sweet, thank you. Bud.
Where do you want to go that you've never been?
Italy.
Never. I've never been to Italy.
I've never been
Let's
to
go.
Italy, and I want to go.
Let's go. They have good wine there.
Let's go. I'm in.
That's
Absolutely, and food. I mean, you
got
can't
lots of
forget
good food.
I
A little bit
know.
of culture there too.
Just a wee bit, a little bit.
Look at that, 1 hour
But-
gone. How quick was that?
Is it an hour on it? Are you kidding me?
And I know how genuine that response is right
I'm
now.
serious.
The book is called Shotgun Angels, My Story of Broken Roads and Unshakable Hope. Rascal Flatts, DeMarcus with Timothy Willard. It's an amazing read. It's going to inspire you as much as it inspires you to become a better person, I think it also just gives you the grace and the relief to know that you can get through anything. You can get through the downtides, down things, and you can swing right through it. And if you can do it, there's hope out there that anyone that goes through some trials and tribulations can get through it as well. Congratulations.
I appreciate that.
On
Thank you for
everything.
your
It's
time.
been
Thank you for your
proud
time.
to call you a friend, DeMarcus.
I feel likewise, my friend. Thank you.
PremierCollectibles.com/Shotgun Angels. That's where you get your signed copy of this book. And if you're lucky, he's going to give you his Millennium Falcon too.
My son will be so disappointed.
No, he's not. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Wow. Great job.
Oh, cool.
Awesome.
That was awesome.
Wow, we killed that, man.
It's over. It's over. And that's.
You did.
Isn't that fun?
You deserve another little
I
shot.
should have been real.
And I think you just have 2 more books to sign, actually. You were...
Wow, that's a record.
That...
Oh, is it really?
Actually,
Yeah, that's a
maybe
record.
4.
That's a record. I mean,
I
usually.
sent him a message.